Hello, my fellow neurodivergents. Welcome back to the channel. Do you feel like you're always behind, always trying to catch up, always overwhelmed or burned out? Well, maybe you're struggling with executive dysfunction. Executive dysfunction is a topic that honestly doesn't get talked about enough because it deserves all the attention. Because if it remains untreated, it can really have a profound impact on our mental health. And when you're struggling with executive dysfunction, it can feel like you're juggling a bunch of balls while riding on a unicycle while on a tightrope. Like, it's really tough. And it can really impact us on so many different ways, and it can really impact our mental health. And it's really not just about forgetting where you put your keys or spacing out in the middle of a conversation. It really goes deeper than that. And you might struggle to hold down a job, keep up with your friends and friendships, and maybe even find a hobby that sticks. You can't seem to focus, you're always all over the place, and you end up feeling like you're just not good enough. And it's frustrating, it's exhausted, and it can seriously mess with your self-worth. And ultimately, it can also cause other comorbid disorders like anxiety, depression, or even eating disorders. And as you get older, it honestly only gets harder because you're expected to be independent, right? You need to act or have it all together, but it feels like you're constantly spinning your wheels. It's easy to start spiraling, thinking you will never get it right and that you're doomed to fail at everything you do. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be that way. Learning to deal with your executive functioning skills and your dysfunction can really make such a world difference. It's not about trying to be perfect or getting it right every time. It's about finding ways to make your life a little bit easier and cut yourself some slack and improve your mental health. So let's break it down. What actually is executive dysfunction? So executive functioning skills, they're like your command center of the brain. They're responsible for things like focus, organization, for things like time management, prioritizing tasks, emotional regulation, as well as decision making. But when you have ADHD and you struggle with these executive functioning skills, it's like the command center just isn't working correctly. So that of course makes it super hard to stay on track, to stay organized. But the good news is that you're not alone, and there are things that can help you to improve your executive functioning skills and support you. So it's all about finding skills that work specifically for you to make your life easier. So let's dive a bit deeper into all the different executive functioning skills that there are. The first one is inhibition and emotional control, and it's like your brain's brain paddle that stops you from acting before you do something. But for us ADHDers, the brain paddle doesn't always work. So you might find yourself always reacting without thinking or getting easily overwhelmed. You might struggle to manage your emotions and you feel your emotions very intensely. But to help you improve yourself, so what could help you with inhibition and emotional control is firstly slowing things down. And I know that's not always easy for us ADHDers, I can totally understand that. But try to take a few seconds before you become triggered and activated and react impulsively. So take a pause, take a breather before responding, so you have time to actually reflect. And also, instead of being surprised or angry at yourself for reacting in a certain way, also expect that these responses are just part of what it means to have ADHD and allow yourself some grace. You can also always create a plan in advance for these moments to either respond to or to recover from. The next executive functioning skill is task initiation. So it's all about getting started on tasks and projects and also finishing them. So for some people, it's kind of as easy as switching a light switch, I guess. I don't know, I never experienced that, but for us ADHDers, it's definitely not like that. So you might have tons of ideas. We never struggle with ideas, but actually getting them off the ground, that's the hard part. So what you could do to help yourself, maybe try to break things down into smaller parts. You can always use apps to make it easier for you, and also look at perfectionism. Do you struggle with toxic perfectionism? Do you believe that you won't get something done well enough, so you give up beforehand or you don't even start? So if that's the case, try to decrease the avoidance by starting with something small or easy. The next executive functioning skill is organization. And organization is kind of like your brain's filing system, to know where everything is, to keep track of everything, and know what you need to do. But for us ADHDers, it's slightly disorganized, I would say the least. It's hard for us to keep track of deadlines. We might lose important documents, or you have a desk that kind of looks like a tornado. You can also improve your organization by recognizing that each of your things needs a place to live. Whether that's a file, a box, or a drawer, consider what can also be grouped together so you can store that all in one place. That makes it easier for you to know where things are and also to remember where you put them. So maybe your keys, your wallet, your purse all go into a basket on the kitchen counter where you can easily find them and grab them for the next day when you leave to work, for example. Or your clothes, maybe you can color code them and store them all to function. Just finding ways to make it easier for you to keep organized of your whole space. You can also just reflect what systems of organization make just the most sense for your brain, because everyone is very different. And then you can create daily routines to follow them to make it easier, because it has become a habit. And the next executive function skill is prioritization. This is all about figuring out what is important and what can wait. And for most people, it's kind of a no-brainer. For those of us with ADHD, it can be definitely a brainer. It's hard. So you might have trouble figuring out where you start, get easily overwhelmed by all the things that you need to do, or struggle to stick to a plan or a certain to-do list. And sometimes it's just tough to decide whether you should start on the work project or on a chore. So to make it easier for you and not always get stuck on your to-do list, not knowing where to start, you can just do a brain dump. List everything out that comes to your mind that you want to do or want to focus on, and then start breaking down the list. So for example, when you've done the brain dump and have a huge to-do list, start breaking that down into 2 more to-do lists, into maybe what's urgent and not so urgent. And that can make it already easier because you have less on the to-do list. Then break these lists down into even smaller set of tasks and make sure to do no more than 3 tasks at a time. The next executive functioning skill is sustained attention. This is like your brain spotlight. It helps you to stay focused on a task and ignore all the other distractions around you. But when you got ADHD, the spotlight might be a bit not working well, maybe flickering, but it's super hard for us to zone out all the distractions that are happening around us. So you might struggle to stay on a task for more than a couple of minutes. You might notice that you have a super hard time paying attention during conversations, or while you're talking, you might easily get sidetracked, or you start zoning out when someone is telling you something, or it's hard for you to stay concentrated for more than a couple of minutes. So what can help you to improve your sustained attention? So what you can do to make it easier for you is, firstly, try consider possible obstacles for you to maintain focus in different scenarios. Then decide what tasks are kind of easy, what are medium hard, and which tasks are super hard for you to stay focused on. And then create a plan for yourself to return back to when you're at work and when you notice that you're drifting off. So maybe using apps to stay focused, using focus, playlists to stay focused, incorporating different things to make the task more fun. That can also help you to just stay on task easier. The next executive functioning skill is working memory. And that's kind of like your brain's, I guess, sticky note. It helps you to hold on to any information and any task that you've worked on. So when you got ADHD, that sticky note, you might lose it and it's not really sticky. So you just have a hard time and you forget important details, you struggle to follow directions, you keep losing track of your items like your phone, your wallet, your earbuds. So what can help you with your working memory and to, again, make your life just a bit easier? Firstly, write everything down. That will help you to recall anything, and it might also reduce your anxiety that you're forgetting anything. You can always take advantage of alarms and notifications. I have so many alarms on my phone. It might seem ridiculous, but it's helping me so much. So I have one to leave the apartment, to like when I need to get ready, when I need to go anywhere, I use alarms. And always feel free to take notes during any meetings, during your classes, or even during conversations, because it really helps you to encode the information and memory in your brain, and it makes it tangible for you to always look back on to the notes. So always write things down. I always do, definitely. And if note-taking is difficult for you, brainstorm solutions with your supervisor, your professor, your partner, your teacher, or a friend to see in what ways you can help yourself to recall information more easily. And you can, of course, always take advantage of any accommodations, whether that be at school, at university, or at your work. Now, the last executive functioning skill is goal-directed and persistence. And this is all about sticking with tasks and projects, even when they get tough. And for most people, it's kind of a matter of grit and determination. But for us ADHDers, it can really feel like climbing a mountain with no ropes. It's beyond hard to finish tasks. And we might easily get discouraged when things get hard. We might struggle to stay motivated for a longer time and then give up easily, or just give up just before the end or the finish line. So to help yourself and support yourself with this executive functioning skill, you can try and set up realistic goals that are based on your actual capabilities and what you think you should be able to accomplish, maybe on comparison to others, or maybe on your work goals or university goals. And what also can be helpful is plan for your productivity rather than approaching your work or projects kind of randomly, because I know that's also what we often love to do. And also, if you're interrupted or you're taking a break, try to leave yourself a note where you were and what you want to continue doing once you get back from the break or the interruption. And also try to use timed breaks rather than procrastination. Now, for all these executive functioning skills, I know it can be overwhelming knowing where to start, and I would recommend not to try to implement everything all at once, because that can get super overwhelming. So maybe pick a skill that you're struggling with the most, or that you feel like is most easily for you to start off with, and try incorporating some of these tools for that executive functioning skill. And you could also, for example, give yourself 3 months to work on the first executive functioning skill and then move on to the second one that you want to work on and tackle and improve on. And always make sure you practice kindness and self-compassion, and shifting old routines and making these improvements you desire means that you will stumble along the way. So it's also important to recover, to give yourself grace. So by taking these small steps and just by being patient with yourself, you will gradually improve on your executive functioning skills and find greater success in managing your ADHD and also managing your mental health. If there's one thing that I want you to take away from this week's video, is that you are not alone in your struggles. Thank you so much for watching this week's video here on ADHD Empowerment. If you enjoyed the content, please leave a like, and for weekly videos exploring ADHD topics, join me by subscribing to the channel. Together, we can navigate all the challenges that come with having ADHD, and we can learn and thrive together with our ADHD brains. Until next week, bye!